Good evening, good evening, good evening. If you're joining us on the call, we'd ask you to leave your name and what city you're from in the chat box, if you'd be so kind. We're going to have a remarkable opportunity tonight to meet some extraordinary women. And my name is Sonny Martin. So we're going to wait and give folks a little bit of time to get on. We've got 128 people on right now. So if you can hit your chat box and list your name and what city you're from, that'd be helpful to us. But listen, first of all, I'd like to welcome each and every one of you to this virtual mastermind Women's Circle of Success for extraordinary women. And I tell you this, my name again is C. Sonny Martin. You might see my name is Donna up there. That's not my name, okay? C. Sonny Martin. You can find me on any social media platform as C. Sonny Martin, but you can just call me Sonny. But anyway, I'm blessed and honored to be your moderator this evening. And as I told you, we've got some phenomenal women that are going to be on the call tonight. And just to give you a little bit about my background, we've got 146 folks out there. Good evening, everybody. If you're just tuning in, thank you for joining us this evening. My name is Sonny Martin, and most people would tell you that I'm a serial entrepreneur. I started my first business, actually I was a paper boy, and I did some lawn, mowing people's grass, and so that's where I really started. But my first legitimate business, I would tell you, it started at the age of 21. And I got my first SBA loan at 22. So I've had three businesses in my life. One was a service business, one was a retail business, and my last business, which was my biggest business, and I spent the most amount of years, with 20 years, in was a publishing company that I owned. So I'm a kind of a serial entrepreneur, and I tell people entrepreneurship is a practice, much like the practice of law, the practice of medicine, and hopefully the more you practice in anything, the better you get, right? So we each have an opportunity to be able to learn more, to earn more. And one of the things I'm a very staunch advocate about is finding those mentors. Success leaves clues. So, you know, you read all the books about successful entrepreneurs and how they did it. Hopefully you sharpen your skills. And it's okay if you start your first business and you find out that's not for you, or you have a job and you want to be an entrepreneur, you get out there and you fail. Failure is a part of success, and you're going to hear about some of the challenges these ladies have had. I've had in my own life, but you don't ever give up. You know, faith has got to be much stronger than your fear. And if you persevere and persevere and persevere, you know, and you have faith and you take actions on the faith and you learn necessary skills to be able to sharpen your skills in your business, to be able to attract clients to your branding, whether you're selling a product or service or an idea. Everybody that is in business sells. Everybody sells. Every single business in America sells a product, a service, or an idea. So you got to attract people. You got to have the enthusiasm. You got to have the passion to attract people to want to do business with you. And I want to tell you, each of these ladies tonight, I want to tell you, they personify those people. Some of them come from corporate America. I'm going to let them tell their own stories. We've got 186 people online. Again, my name is Sonny Martin. If you just joined us, welcome. But I'm going to let each of these ladies tell their story. And we all have stories, right? We've all been able to have had opportunities where we've gotten into some challenges. But these ladies got some incredible stories to tell you. And I've always sought in my life to be around successful people. My mother told me, and she lived a very short life, but she poured it into her kids. She would never allow us to have any kind of pity party for any reason whatsoever. And she says, I don't care what you're going through, there's always somebody else that's got it worse than you got it. So I don't want to hear you complain and this, that. I mean, she was just like that strict disciplinarian, but she had a lot of smarts and a lot of wisdom. But she said, always seek to be in the company of people smarter than you and more successful than you. And maybe some of it will rub off on you, all right? So I could not have picked a better panel of successful women entrepreneurs who've been successful And I'd like to be able to have the opportunity to introduce these ladies to you tonight. And we've got Leanne Gabriel, we've got Donna Perkins, Deborah McIver, and Nancy Holman. And each of these ladies in their own little lane, they've come together, they know each other, and I'm happy to have met them and talked with each of them. And I want to tell you something, I was just completely blown away. I'm talking in front of thousands of people. I've interviewed thousands of people. But I told Donna today, this is the first time I've had 4 incredible women in my face at the same time. So I've heard the stories, and I'm happy to be able to introduce them to you. And Leanne, we're gonna let you go first, okay? Introduce yourself to the folks.
Well, thank you so much, and I cannot thank you enough, Sonny, for taking time. I know your professional career is so demanding, and we are honored to do this event with you. So I want to thank you first. Welcome, everyone. This is a dream for me. I'm really thrilled to be here tonight. Just to tell you a little bit about my background, I was a discrimination lawyer, and so I used to fight for equal rights for people. And many years ago, 2 things made me start wondering about what it would be like to be an entrepreneur. One is that my husband and I have insanely expensive educations. We met each other going to Johns Hopkins University for our undergraduate degree. So we had a lot of debt. And even though we made great money, I started to realize that all the money we were making was going directly to Sallie Mae, which was not very fun. But the other thing that happened for me really made me stop in my tracks. I was working one year, and we were working on a huge discrimination case. And it was the day before Thanksgiving. And the day before Thanksgiving, at the very last moment, the lawyers on the other side of the case filed a bunch of motions with the specific intent of making us work on Thanksgiving Day. And of course, we all came in and we were working on the case on Thanksgiving Day. And I looked around the office and I saw everybody there. And I knew at that moment that I should be with my family. My husband had a grandmother that was still alive, and we were really wanting to be with her while we had that opportunity. And I started to wonder if this was my destiny, and I wasn't too happy about it. And even the paperwork and motion that they filed was kind of nonsense just to wear us down. So, you know, despite investing a lot of time and money into becoming a lawyer, I started to think maybe it wouldn't be a bad idea to safely and quietly on the side, try out something entrepreneurial. And you know, years later, it ended up becoming an incredible career opportunity for me, and I was able to walk off from law and have not only quality of life, but more importantly, to do what I wanted to do as a discrimination attorney, which is teach people how they can have their own business, how they can be entrepreneurial, and how they don't have to be limited and they don't have to be discriminated against. So it's funny how God always has a plan. So that's my story, Sonny.
That's incredible. You gave up your law career to be able to at least pivot into doing something entrepreneurial. That's I mean, you know, sometimes we have to do that. I thought that I was going to, you know, make it up to ABC News. I was working for an ABC affiliate as a reporter on the scene. I got into business 6 months later. I hated it. Absolutely hated it. In college, they teach that news should be fair, balanced, and objective. Fair, balanced, objective. You put that on any test, you got an A. But I got into the business, and it was all about sensationalism. If there's a fire, and people would get just so excited. And I'm like, who are these people, you know? And, I mean, robberies and that sort of thing. I'm like, hey, listen, my name is Sonny. I like to be optimistic and positive. You folks are weird. I'm out. So I totally get it. I totally get it. That's a great story, though, Leon. Listen, Miss Donna Perkins is online today. She's a phenomenal, successful woman, and she's got quite a story. Donna, good evening to you. Welcome. Introduce yourself to the folks.
I certainly will. Thank you so much, Sonny. You're just an awesome friend. You know, for those of you who have just met you tonight, you just met one of my very favorite people in the entire world, and we are all so blessed to have you joining us tonight. So I really want to thank you for taking the time and putting all this together and just really, really making this an incredible evening. So again, my name's Donna Perkins, and I live in the Midwestern part of the United States. My folks and all of my grandparents are from West Virginia, but my mom and dad had these visions for their children, and that was education. And so my mom found like the greatest little school that she could find in Midwest Ohio and just you know, they just did everything they could to give us the best education that they could find. And so, you know, because of my parents, I am exactly who I am today. They taught us about education. And the other thing that they taught my brother and sister and I is work ethic. My folks come from generations of hardworking people, and they may not have had much, but I can tell you, they knew how to work and they knew how to hustle. And it's that hustle that they taught all of us. They taught us how to get these little side jobs, right? These little hustles to make extra money. And so, you know, that was just ingrained in me. I watched my parents grind my whole life. And so during college, I worked and went to college. And during college, I got pregnant and my boyfriend and I had our first child. And so I knew then I really had to work, right? And unfortunately, he was in a very bad car accident and it took his life. And so I found myself as a single parent, college student, and working. And my child was very, very sick. He spent the best part of 5.5 years in Children's Hospital.
Wow.
And I just had the most incredible experience at Children's Hospital. And in the Ronald McDonald House, I'm just going to give them a shout out because they did so much for us. And today I'm very proud to tell you my son raises millions of dollars every year for the Ronald McDonald House. He found his way as just a small child. I eventually remarried, had a couple more children, and then found myself single again. And so unfortunately for me, or fortunately, depending on how you look at it, I found myself in the system. And you know, the system is there to really help you. But I knew I didn't want to raise my children in the system. And so I took and bear down and started grinding the way my folks showed me how to do. And I was able to finish college. I was able to work 2 and 3 jobs and raise those kids and get them out of the system. And a lot of those side hustles actually turned into careers. They turned into brick and mortar businesses for me. And I've been on the entrepreneur path ever since.
Wow, it's an incredible story. It's just, you know, it's amazing to me that if you are able to embrace a serious work ethic, if you have that ingrained in you and your kids, a work ethic, that some kind of way through God's graces that we get through life's major challenges. And certainly you've had some challenges, so I salute you. Donna, thanks so much for telling your story. Next up on the list, East Coast time, Miss Deborah McIver. How are you doing, Deborah?
I am doing fantastic, Sonny. How about yourself?
I'm better than good, better than most, highly blessed,
all
sanctified,
right.
and happy to be talking to you.
Yes, yes. Listen, I am delighted that you are our moderator on tonight. I thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule.
Honors.
To tell you guys just a little bit about me. I come from corporate America, blessed to do really well financially, come from the banking and finance industry. My last corporate job was about 15 years ago, where I was a VP of the 4th largest lender in the country. On the personal side, I'm married. I've got 3 amazing children and 6 beautiful grandchildren. They're mine, so I can say that they're beautiful. Is that okay? Okay. So that's a little bit about me personally. But I found myself about 15 years ago going to work and quietly not being happy. Anybody know what I'm talking about on Sunday night? Maybe about 6, 7 o'clock, you just kind of get a knot in your stomach because the reality of my Monday was starting to really look me in the face. And so I was a person that started to say to myself quietly, nobody else knew. I'm not really happy. I don't have any passion. I made great money. I should really just be satisfied, but I wasn't. And that there had to be something else. And so I just kind of made a decision. I started building something on the side, my own company. I said, you know what, I'm just going to do it. I'm going to be quiet about it, but I'm just going to start to build it. But one day everything changed. I woke up on a Monday morning. I come from the financial world. I do what I normally do. I go to financial news, and on the ticker of the television, my company's name comes up that says they're filing bankruptcy. So on Friday, everything was fine. On Monday, my company's filing bankruptcy. By the end of the day, my company was notifying everybody via conference call that we did not have a job. So by Friday, it was, everything's got to be removed. So on Monday morning, before that, multiple 6-figure income earner. By Friday, 0 income. So the next 6 months were really crazy, but I was still building my other business on the side. The next 6 months, I had to get my head around giving any company 20 plus years and that happening, but it did. My husband had some major health challenges, so I was dealing with that. And then at some point, it wasn't hard for me to secure another job, but my heart was never really in it anymore because my mindset was, if it happened once, it can happen again. And so, I did this work thing for a while, but I just kind of went through the motions. A year and a half later, I made a decision to walk away from the money or walk away from everything and continue to build my business. And I got to tell you, that was the best thing that I could ever do professionally. It has been a total blessing. It has not been an easy road to travel, but it's one that I would travel all over again because now I'm not just doing what I'm blessed to do. I now get the opportunity to do what I was called to do. So that's a little bit about me.
Amen. That's an incredible story. I remember in the early 1990s, companies were downsizing, folks found themselves out of a job.
Yeah.
And just look at what we're going through right now.
Yeah.
Just history repeating itself all over again. Deborah, thanks so much for sharing that.
You're welcome.
I sincerely appreciate it. And those of you that just joined, we got 230 people on the call. We're introducing you to some of the phenomenal women that are on this virtual success call this evening. And we've got Nancy is left. Nancy, how are you? Good evening to you.
Good evening, Sonny. Thank you
Tell
so
the folks
much.
a little bit about your background, Nancy.
Sure. Well, my background is I'm an associate broker for Coldwell Banker in Ellicott City, Maryland. And I've been in the real estate industry for 35 years and I absolutely love it. I've built a very great team of individual agents. We're called the Holzman Group. And I just love sharing and helping other people. And my background really came and my strengths in that I contribute a lot of my successes to and failures, of course, but was to my mom. I was raised by a single mom. Unfortunately, my father passed away when we were very young. I was the oldest and my brother was just 2 years old at the time. And, I got to watch a single mom raise 3 children. And a lot of it was in fear. I used to watch, my mother would put on a great show for us and never let us know how bad things really were sometimes. But she really just kept us very centered. And she let us know that this circumstance that happened to us, yes, it was not good, but that we could draw on it as a strength and be strong individuals. And, that's what really I contribute a lot of my success to today was just the strength that she shared with me raising, as a single mom, always providing for her children. But I just knew I never wanted that same situation when I got older. My mom taught me, learn to control my own destiny. Don't work for somebody else. Be your own. Go out there and build something, help other people. And my mother was all about giving. And so that's what, I took into my life. And I bless my mom every day for giving me that base, that foundation to grow from.
That's awesome. And I had a super mom too. My mom was my mother and my father. So that early, work ethic, that early knowing how to grind and make things happen. You women personify that because each of you are Wonder Women for sure. And the roles and the careers that you've had and how you've been able to pivot through challenges and still, never give up, never, ever give up and have the faith to take actions to go. Listen, folks, if you're just joining us, hit the chat box and mention your name and what city you're from. We'd like to be able to see. I see we got people from Florida on here, Chicago on here. A lot of folks represented tonight. We've got 200 some folks online. But listen, ladies, we're living in unprecedented times. Those of you that are business people like myself, one day everything's going just hunky-dory, the world is yours, and then something happens. I remember when 9/11 happened. I was flying into Atlanta, Georgia from Columbus, Ohio, and I saw horses with police on them inside the Hyatt Regency downtown. They were bringing television sets around, and they were concerned about the Bank of America building across the street was going to get hit. No one knew really what was going on in America. So, you know, I remember having to survive during that period of time when receivables went from 30 to 45 days to 60 to 90 days. You know, cash flow is everything when you're owning a business. So in these unprecedented times we're in now, we've got a pandemic. We've got upwards to 20 million, 30 million folks that have lost their jobs. We've got, you know, civil unrest on top of that. And you stir all that up together, it's easy to become distracted, become, you know, kind of emotionally spent. How do you, each of you ladies, I'd like you to weigh in on this. How do you remain focused? And how some of you had to pivot during these times? And I'd like to ask each of you to talk about the challenges that you've faced in business, but particularly these times right now that we're in. And I'd like to start out with Donna. Donna, you there? There she is.
I certainly am. Well, you know, Sonny, you know, our hearts go out to everybody globally. These are unprecedented times. You know, the world has never felt as small as it does right now, for sure. And we don't even know where we're at, right? We really don't. Everything is just changing globally right now. And then, you know, to top it off, what's going on in the United States. But what's amazing is how the United States is being joined by countries around the world in solidarity. And it's a beautiful, beautiful thing. And so, you know, these are really crazy times. And this is what I can say, you know, just in the last 20 years, and you talked about 9/11 and what happened in 9/11. And then we saw what happened between like 2006 to 2008. It got started. And then the true financial crisis in 2012 was huge. I mean, our own Deb MacGyver right here, you know, instantly like that. She's an exact example of what happened during that crisis. There was so many changes. And then now in 2020, so what do? Right? Well, I'm going to go back to telling you about my parents. You know, my dad started his own painting company, you know, when he was a teenager, and he was a residential painter. And so we always knew that winter, because, you know, we live in Ohio. We knew things were going to be skinny at home. He was the breadwinner. Mama stayed at home until I was 10 years old. So we knew we had to prepare. We always had to prepare. And the one thing that we always knew, the one constant in life that we have, is that absolutely nothing stays the same. Right. It just doesn't, right? And so the world is constantly changing. And what I have found, you know, is that these are the times where you stand up. These are the times that you stand up and you be the person that you're meant to be, and you dig deep. And you have to dig not only to what inspires you and what you want to be, but also within your boundaries. Because see, these are times when other challenges come up, when shortcuts can come up, when compromise can come up, when you can crawl inside your home and isolate, right, and be obscure. These are the times when those things happen. But you got to know who you are. And if you don't know who you are, you got to dig and find it. And then you got to stand up and create those boundaries, right? This is how I want to live. This is how I want to be. This is what I want to teach my kids. This is what I want to teach my grandkids. And you got to go after it. We can't live in fear, Sonny, because if we do, we get crushed, you know, and we don't want to be crushed. God did not intend for us to be crushed. He intended us to stand up and be who we are going to be and to embrace the new norm, whatever that is. So I just really want to encourage people to just stand up and embrace it. The world is changing. I don't know what it's going to be, but we can make it beautiful and we can do it together.
That's a good answer, and thank you for your insight there. And I tell people, you know, I'm a big fan of John Maxwell, who obviously is the leadership guru of all leadership gurus. And a leader's job is not only to lead at times, but to create other leaders. So Donna, I know you've got, you know, associates that you're connected to. How do you keep them motivated?
Just lead from the front. You know what? I never expect anybody in my household. I don't ask my children to do something that I'm not willing to do, my grandchildren, my husband. I never expect something from somebody else that I'm not willing to do myself. And so for me as an entrepreneur, I constantly stay in the trenches. I had to embrace and learn how to use Zoom. I had to embrace and learn how to use social media. I had to change the way that I operate my business from day to day. And so that's how I do it. And we figure it out together. And I don't care where you are in your career. I truly believe that there's a bus on the seat for everybody, or a seat on the bus for everybody, right? There's a seat on the bus for everybody, and everybody has knowledge and everybody contributes. And so you just group together and communicate as a group and learn from one another, and everybody just has to get in the trenches and do it together.
Yeah, time to rub your sleeves, man. You just can't become a victim and just be like a deer in headlights. Like, oh my goodness, you've got to take charge. Nancy, you're in the real estate business and you've built a very successful real estate organization. But I know that and we all experienced what 2008, 2009 was, where everything just went wham, And I never forget, I was in Washington, D.C. giving a speech at the National Black MBA convention, and one of my biggest clients had invited me up to speak. He was the executive vice president with Washington Mutual Bank. And I said, Randall, we went out to dinner that night. I said, Randall, man, the economy, something's going on, man. There's banks that are going out of business like this. What's really going on in the economy? And he said to me, he said, Sonny, I've been in the banking business 30 some years, and ripples come and ripples go. That's what he said to me on a Friday. On Monday, his bank was out of business. Monday.
Wow.
The following Monday, his bank was gone. History. So Nancy, you've seen, the ups and downs and the turns arounds, and you've gone through 9/11. You remember what happened 2008, 2009. How have you stayed positive? How have you been able to pivot? How have you been able to keep your associates in your real estate firm? Still moving forward. Tell us that.
Sure. I have seen a lot in 35 years of practicing real estate, definitely the ups and downs. And, I remember 2006 and I remember some stuff in the 90s, but I do remember I had a mantra, and my mantra was, I heard rumors that there was a recession, but I refused to participate. So, and that was back in 2006 when everything was starting to crash in 2007. Yeah. But I kept that mantra, and I believe it's all about mindset. And no matter what's going on around you, again, something my mom taught, you make the lemonade out of the lemon. But your mindset has to be in the right place to do it, because you can give two people the exact same circumstance, and one will come out a winner and one will come out completely devastated. So that was the first thing I realized. And, it's almost like everybody can remember where they were standing when they heard about 9/11. And, I can remember March the 12th. Because it was the last time I was out showing property that day. And I was even feeling a little awkward that day showing property, because it was COVID had just started and people were starting to distance themselves a little bit, but we hadn't executed a stay at home yet. And I remember I came home, and then that Monday we had a stay at home here in Maryland. And, right then and there, technically everybody was shut down. Business was shut down. And, I really realized, I said, okay, now it's time to put my big girl pants back on again. We've got one of those types of errors coming, and I have to really realize, what can I do? What am I going to be able to do? So I literally pulled a whiteboard into my office at home and said, this is going to be my ground central now. This is where everything is going to happen from. And I had to get the correct mindset. So the first thing that came to me was I had to focus on finding what I was going to become instead of trying to save what I had, because what I had was gone. The state was shutting down. The way that I did business before was gone. And if I didn't become something new, reinvent myself at this time, I was going to be out of business. So I quickly drew a game plan up on how I was going to continue to run my business from my home, and how I could still reach people, but it meant change. It meant becoming uncomfortable. But the thing that got me through it, because a lot of us will say, okay, that's all great, but how do you get through it? Because, I had friends that, they were every day on Facebook telling me about the latest series on Netflix and binge watching 12 shows in one day. And I was like, I can't do that. Like, if I do that, I'm just going to go down the rabbit hole. So what I said is it's all about right now, the 7 people that are going to influence me the most and that I talk to on a daily basis. And if you want great change in your life, find people who are doing great things and be influenced by them. So I immediately called these women, called a lot of my other favorite people in the real estate industry. And I said, what are we going to do? You know, how do we pivot? What are we going to do? And every day we executed a game plan. And when you execute a game plan every day and you keep looking forward and you keep helping other people, that's when you will rise. You know, in this type of catastrophe that's going on, there's so many things going on right now that we're being influenced by. Good leaders will rise to the top. This will show us who our leaders are. This will show us where the people are that we want to be around, people who are going to make positive impact and positive change. So I guard myself so well right now on who's influencing me, because we can get influenced by all the wrong people right now, and we can go down that rabbit hole. So I think right now, based on the climate of what's going on in so many different aspects, you need to guard yourself on who's influencing you, who's gonna take you to the top, who's gonna rise you. This is about lifting up people, lifting everybody's voice up. And you've got to put yourself in the place where you can speak and you can be lifted up. And that's exactly what I did. I reached out to powerful people in all types of businesses that I participate in, and I surrounded myself with those people, and I know those people are going to guide us through what's going on and making sure we all survive in a very positive way.
That's awesome, Nancy. That's awesome. We can all just allow distractions to just come into our life. I mean, there's some people, obviously, that y'all have seen that you think their full-time job is posting on Facebook, you know, right. They're getting paid for that, you know, or want to draw you into this argument or draw you into this, draw you into that. And I said, nope, the devil's a liar. I'm not going to do it. Not, I don't get paid for this. You know, my voice is important at the right time, but nope, not going to do it because I don't want to. That is not my business, you know. My business is not being influenced on Facebook. That's not how I make my money for it. You know, the comments that I put on social media, you know. But Nancy, that's some really good nuggets of wisdom you just spoke. You know, getting into the zone of what your business is, surrounding yourself with very, very positive people. You know, you're not talking about, you know, did you see the video on such and such and such and such on Facebook? Oh my God, girl, that was just, I mean, it's not that kind of party. You know what I'm saying? But thank you so much for what you said. Next, Deborah, you're a life coach, you're a business owner. During these times, how have you been able to maintain and pivot and still, you know, focus on your business, be able to make it grow in this period of time?
Well, I'll tell you, Sonny, tough times require you to make some changes. Mm-hmm. And you'll find, you already know this, but as an entrepreneur, you've got to kind of hang loose all the time and be willing and able to make the change and the shifts when necessary. For me, for the pandemic and all that's going on in the world, all the social unrest, all the racial unrest, there's a lot of stuff going on. And it is so easy to get sidetracked and distracted by everything that's going on. But it's super simple for me. Everything comes back down to making a decision. Okay, this has happened. I own all of it because it's a reality. All that we've gone through, it's a reality. It's here. We've been in the house. Listen, guys, I've been in since February, technically. You know, I'm out when I need to, but because of my husband's pre-existing conditions, I got to be careful. And so it's like, okay, I got to make a decision. Am I going to still succeed and thrive? Or do I just want to survive? Well, that's not who I am. I'm a fighter. I'm willing to fight for what it is that I want. And I'm willing to go through whatever it is I got to go through to get to the other side of a problem. It's not new for me. I feel like I've been fighting most of my adult life for one thing or the other because why I was never okay with status quo. Mediocrity is not my friend. I am not okay with being average.
Go ahead.
There's no reason why we got to be average when I believe that God put me here to be the head and not the tail. And so it's about, number one, making a decision. Number two, deciding what it is that you really want, and then being willing to fight for it. And then making a promise to myself that I never quit. That's not even an option. I got to figure out another way. If I've got to make some adjustments, I may fall down a lot more because it's new and it's unfamiliar territory, but that just means I got to get up and dust myself off and keep on going. This is what I know. For much is given, much is going to be required. You can't expect to have everything and not go through anything.
Right.
And so I know that going in, I'm going to have to go through more because I desire more. But I also know that God has put more in me and he's built in me everything that I need to get to where it is that I'm going to get to. So it's simple. I'm not going back to a job. So I'm fighting to not go. I have not worked for anybody for over 15 years. I do not want anybody being a timekeeper for me. I will keep my own time, meaning I decide where I go and when I come back. Nobody's going to decide for me the legacy that I built for my children. I can't give them a job. Nobody's going to inherit your job, people. Nobody even wants it, to be honest. So all the things that I desire, all the things that I want, I'm going to continue to fight for them. Yes, we are in the midst of a pandemic, but I'm still living. I'm still breathing. As long as I'm here, I'm going to do everything because I got a responsibility, number one. And number two, I made a decision that I will not be defeated and I'm going to move on. If I can't do it one way, I'll figure out another way to get it done. That's my mentality. That's my attitude. That's what I'm coaching right now. And so that's where I am. I'm a little fired up right now.
Go on, girl. Preach. Lord have mercy. I hope you heard that, Lord. I'm getting goosebumps right now. I get fired up.
Sorry about that.
Get around. No, you're absolutely fine. And we got 233 people online right now listening to your stories. And I think people like to buy, they hate to be sold. We're not here to sell anything tonight. We're not selling anything tonight. What these ladies decided to do is get together and share their experiences, share their challenges, share their story, in hopes that those of you that are out here that tuned in this evening, that you can be motivated, that you can not give up, that you don't have fear. You got to keep moving forward 1 foot at a time. And these ladies personify that. I mean, they're all very successful. And listen, she's not last, and she is a fireball in her own right. Leanne, tell me, in these times, you've been an attorney, you've got a huge organization, and you're responsible with a lot of team members. During these times, with the pandemic going on, the civil unrest, you were a civil rights attorney. I'm sure a lot of this is kind of, penetrated into your spirit and your soul, and you're running a business. Talk to me about it.
It is unbelievable. I have to say, this is the craziest year. I'm like, what else? There's so many things that are being thrown at us right now. And you know what? It's really interesting because, God always has a plan and a path for us. And I had left law and gone full-time into business. So I had actually cut the cord. I was a full-time entrepreneur right when 9/11 happened. And the core of my business was in New York at that moment. My husband's from New York City. His family was there. All of his friends that he grew up with were there. And things were moving and I was in a great place. And then 9/11 happened. And it sucked the wind out of me. Personally, it was crazy. I mean, and you're right. We all remember where we were when that happened. Yeah. But professionally, it was like I had this great business and someone just yanked the rug out from under it. And I know right now there's so many business owners going through that. They may own a salon, a restaurant, they maybe in the entertainment industry, they're in the hotel or travel industry. Like, there's just countless industries that are experiencing that. And when I went through it, it was terrifying and it was devastating because I wasn't prepared. How do you prepare for something unprecedented? And then came 2008 and all that picnic. And this time I was like, oh, okay, I've done this before. And that time I went in differently. And when it happened that time, I started to realize that basically there were two camps, so to speak. When people were really devastated financially and they lost their jobs and their homes, it was horrible. But people fell into these two camps. One side, people were just, as you said, Sunny, a deer in headlights. They froze, they were terrified, they retreated, they shut down emotionally. And I'm not critical of that. That at the point in time is where they were with how you process something like this happening. But at the same time, there were people like the one you just heard from a minute ago who said, oh, no, you don't. Like, I am not going to be defeated. And I will redefine myself, redefine my business. I will come out kicking and screaming. I'll do multiple income streams. I'm going to do whatever it is I need to do. Right. So because I had been through it the first time, when I came to the second time, then I said, okay, I have to limit my time with the people who are frozen. And I have to find and aggressively seek people who are in that fighting mode. And because of that experience the first time, the second time what happened is when the recession hit, crazy enough, my business went through the roof and I never looked back. It was an incredible life-changing moment. So here we are again. And this time I got a different perspective. And this time there are two things that I want to share for anybody who's out there that's going through this. Number one, you must 100,000% protect your mind and your heart. Turn off the stinking news. Yeah. They make money by scaring you, depressing you, pulling all your hope away, making you angry. If it's all rainbows and puppies, no one's turning on the news. So you have to know they're going to seek the worst things they can possibly find to upset you, so you flick that remote back on again. And you can't go out and be a positive force when there's toxicity being fed to you 24/7. No. I will not watch the news. If anything big happens, somebody tells me. That's kind of how I look at it. If you really got to know what's going on, click on once in the morning online so you can control what you see. You set a timer for 5 minutes and then you're done. Because they can tell you everything in 5 minutes or less, and the rest is just designed to put you in that frozen camp. The second thing I would tell you is that if you go about this the right way, this can actually turn into a time where you meet extraordinary people. You take your business to a completely different level and you'll never look back. And honestly, that's why I was so excited about tonight, because you can see that all four of us, our business is thriving in total madness. And we want you to know that there's nothing special about us. And if we can do it, you can do it. Watch who you're around, and don't, as you heard, try to hold on to or keep things. Go looking, go networking, reach out to people, find people who are in a business like you, find people who are successful, and pursue people who are not going to fall over and they're not going to collapse. That is so powerful, and it'll feed into your soul, and then you'll start to see yourself grow in a completely different way.
That's awesome. I mean, these women are phenomenal. You told the story. I mean, I was in the news business, so I know how the news business makes money. Eyeballs and earlobes is what they seek to be able to attract on a daily basis. Eyeballs and earlobes, you know, and the more they get, the more money they get, the more ratings they get, the more viewers they get. And, you know, we don't make no money watching the news. The other thing that you said is you know, obviously the tenet that all of you have talked about is being in the company of folks that motivate you, that are the same mindset as you, guard your spirit, your soul, your head, your temple. Yeah, it's what kind of is the GPS that guides you on a daily basis, you know. So I thank you for all telling your stories and how you've been able to pivot and how you're just more determined than anything to move from here. And the same thing happened to me, 9/11. I just thought, oh my God, I only had 4 employees, you know, and I was gonna have to let 3 or 4 go because my receivables went 90 to 120 days. But I just said, I'm gonna stick through this, and I built a much bigger organization after that. But listen, moving right along, I often have told folks in my sales training class to pull and bring out their birth certificates to me, because I doubt if any one of you that are listening to this broadcast this evening, if you actually, I don't know when's the last time you actually looked at your birth certificate, but I assure you, and I'll put $100 on the table, that none of you have in your original birth name the name Average. And guess what? If your mama, if your daddy didn't name you Average as your first, middle, or last name, it's okay for you to be more than average. Okay? And you've got to be able to seek that. You know, Bill Gates got the same 24 hours you got. Steve Jobs, during the pandemic of 1918 was the Spanish flu. A Black lady by the name of Madam C.J. Walker built her biggest business and became the first woman millionaire in the United States of America. How did she do it? She built a huge sales team that was selling her beauty products all over the United States. So, you know, is the glass half full? Is it half empty? If you think you can, you can. If you think you can't, you're right. Okay. So listen, we're going to keep it moving. I thank you so very much for those of you that tuned in tonight. We've got phenomenal women here that are telling their stories. And the next question I want to ask you, what is the thing that keeps you motivated? You know, we can all get fired up. You know, I never forget going to actually meeting Tony Robbins and talking to him. And I kind of like, you know, I wasn't going to say he was a snake oil salesman person, but I've met a whole lot of folks that get people fired up and want to jump out of their skin and touch the ceiling, anything of that nature. And, you know, I read a lot about Tony Robbins, but I said, Tony, you know, you're kind of like good preachers that give a good sermon on Sunday. I said, but what do people do Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday? They still the same people. And he said to me, I'll never forget, he said to me personally, he said, Sonny, my job and what I'm excited about is to help change people's lives. If I give them the tools, if I give them the motivation, if I teach them the skills they need to have, then it's up to them. It's not on me no more. So if they buy my books and don't open it up and read it, and they don't, you know, change their lives, it's not on me. And that was a very pivotal moment in my life, because all of us are blessed to be a blessing to others. But we all know you can lead a horse to the water. Yeah, just can't make them all drink. So how do you ladies stay motivated and keep moving forward? And for that, I don't know, Deborah, you want to talk about that?
Okay. Yeah, when I think about staying motivated, at first, for me, motivation is an emotion. And I think that's why people have so much trouble staying motivated, because, you know, emotionally, we're up and down. For me, it's more about a responsibility. I feel like I've got a responsibility to educate, empower, and elevate, as well as—
Hold on a second, say that again. Say that again. What's those three things you just said?
To educate, to empower, and to elevate. Those are my 3 E's.
Okay, gotcha.
That for me is from my heart. I personally feel like I've got a responsibility to do that. I totally believe that every person that God allows to cross my path in life, that I've got a responsibility to deposit something. And I'm looking to educate them, empower them, and even elevate and lift them up. And sometimes even encourage them to really be the much better version of themselves. You see, I believe that charity starts at home and spreads abroad. So I've got a responsibility to those that see me every day, my family, my children, not only my children, my grandchildren, my nieces, my nephews, my sisters, my brothers. I believe today we spend too much time looking outside of our own communities, looking for somebody to be a role model. You be the role model. You be the person that somebody's looking to aspire to be, but that means the responsibility is on you to be the best version of yourself. I believe that if I'm doing what I need to do and that I challenge all those around me, I become a beacon of light. I become a light of hope that says, you know what, if she did it, I can do it. My other mindset is not just to teach one, but I'm about to be able to teach one and then reach one. And then we turn around and continue to duplicate that. If we all did that, now we really can be the true architects of our own lives and really make an impact and make a difference. So for me, it's about my responsibility. I don't want to just win. I want to win big. I don't want to just be okay. I'm looking to go to the moon because that's where I want to be. Everything that I want, and I know it already, is going to be right outside of my comfort zone. So my mindset is, come on, travel with me because we're going to do something amazing. I'm getting excited.
All right, girl. Woo! That girl's on fire. Like, she is on fire. Nancy, you know, you've got a lot of other folks that are dependent upon you. You know, you've got a team of realtors out there, and it starts at the head. How have you been able to keep your folks motivated? Pandemic, economic downturn, civil unrest, not being able to do business the way you used to do business. You got to mask up, social distance. How are you still keeping people motivated?
Well, I'm very blessed that I've got a great group of people. So that's a good start, but it's all about creating. I think when you have passion is motivation. And when you're creating something new and when you can keep people motivated by showing them other people's successes, you know, that's a great way to stay motivated. For me, it is about the success of others at this point in my career and in my life. It's not about my personal success anymore. It is, I want to make sure that every person that's on my team does well also. And so for me, I have to stay motivated because I've got to create those opportunities. I sort of say I have to open the door, and I hope that I can motivate and coach somebody enough to see the opportunity that's on the other side of the door. It's the door of opportunity, and get them to walk across the threshold. But it's my job to open that door. That door is exposing them to the possibilities of what can happen right now for someone, even during these times. Right now, we can prosper. You can take, you know, I remember back when the real estate market crashed and so many people were losing their licenses, getting out of the real estate market in 2007, 8, 9, and 10. And my business was actually growing during those times. It was growing. It was actually growing. Why? Because I kept opening doors of opportunity. And that's where motivation is. The more we network, the more that we talk to other people, we keep open mind. You know, motivation is about an open mindset, is listening and saying, yeah, there is a better way to do this. Yeah, there's another way that I can make money. Yes, there's something else that can enhance what I'm currently doing. When you keep that mindset, you can keep motivated. So for me, it just always boils down to always hire. And, you know, I have a phrase that I learned. I went to Catholic schools my whole life, so I have some Latin. And so sempre frius, which means always hire. And for me, I've never hit the top. I've always got to keep climbing and staying motivated to find a spot, but make sure that I'm taking people along with me. And that's what the motivation is all about.
That's powerful, Nancy. That is really, really, really powerful. I think even at my age, it's not about making the money. I want to be able to lift all boats in our community. I'll be able to help other folks, you know, experience the freedom that I got as an entrepreneur, building a company in 27 cities and multi-million-dollar company, people all over the country. So I think it's important that, and that's what we're doing on this call. You know, we're trying to give back. We're trying to be able to share those experiences, those life experiences, the good, bad, and the ugly, and what keeps us motivated. We're coming up on, we've been on here 55 minutes now. Those of you that are still with us, we still got over 226 people that are still with us. We ask you to leave your name and what city you're from. And before we end, you're going to have an opportunity to reach out to each and any one of these ladies. We're going to give you their name, their contact information, the email address, and how to reach them. But You know, if you're looking for a mentor, if you're looking just to be connected to some of these ladies, if you're looking for a business opportunity, you know, you'll see that in all of these women. So we thank you for staying with us. And for, I mean, we've had almost everybody. We haven't lost too many people during this. So people got to be motivated and excited and enthused. The last question that we want to really touch upon, if you're a business person, your business is doing phenomenally well, or it's not. In my life, here's something that no one's really talked about, but I'm probably the senior person of the group here. Almost every 10 years, there's been a recession in my life. Almost at the start of every new decade. I remember when interest rates were at 18.5% fixed when I bought my second business, okay? And, you know, the owner financed it for me at 18.5% fixed. There was gasoline lines, you know, A to M, you could only get gas on this day. N to Z, you can only get gas on them days. Now, some of y'all young folks don't know nothing about that. That's before there were cell phones and the phone was attached to a wire on a wall somewhere, okay? As my daughter said, Daddy, I know that's like when Moses brought down the tablets, you know, from the mountain. But listen, almost every 10 years, and it's almost at the beginning of the decade. Here we are, 2020. You know, I ate a lot of lima beans, think this was going to be a great year, but I don't know what happened. They must have got me a bad batch because I'm like, whoa. We don't need Morgan Freeman. We need Samuel Jackson and the MFs that he says, because this has been an incredible, crazy year. But as we build our businesses, you know, we've got to be mindful to have a rainy day fund. We've got to be mindful not to eat hand to mouth. We've got to be intentional and smart about creating opportunities with multiple streams of income. And the thing that I did with my business right away, and thank God that someone taught me, said, Sonny, all right, you're primarily doing this, and this is where 75% of your money comes on. There's other streams of revenue that you're not addressing in your business. Mm-hmm. And fortunately, what really blew my business up, we had 5 separate streams of income, business lines that we were bringing money in. And some of those were virtual online. Mm-hmm. Coming in my office today, how much money we make last night? I mean, you know, it's just an unbelievable feeling, because if you stop working, your money stops if you have a job, right? So you got to be protective of your space, of your brand. You are the chairperson of You Inc. So we like the ladies to talk about, you're the architect of your business, of your life. So we like the ladies to talk about, you know, the value of multiple streams of income. And Donna, I'd like you to start off and tell folks the importance. You've owned several other businesses, right?
Absolutely.
All right. And when did the light bulb go on for you? Multiple streams of income is where it's at. Residual income is where it's at. Right.
Well, there are some defining moments in my life. I love how you give me the tough questions first, Sonny. Thank you so much, right? And so, you know, there are some defining times. So, you know, I told you the history about my mom and dad. They always believed, right, to have a side hustle. They always had multiple streams of income coming in. But here's the one thing that just lacked in that plan, and it lacks in the plan that most of us learned and grew up on, is that we only have 24 hours in a day. And so we're limited by time. Mm-hmm. Totally. And so we can all prepare, you know, I mean, all of us, I happen to know everybody here on this panel, and I know we've all had, you know, uncertain times come upon us, right? We've all had things happen. And I'm sure every human being watching this tonight has had things happen. But there were some defining moments in my life that taught me about residual income. And a couple of them I want to share with you. So about 4 years ago, I had my 7th spinal surgery. Yeah, 7th. Crazy, right? Absolutely crazy. it's just the way I'm wired. That's it. Nothing happened. People ask me questions all the time. I don't know, right? That was God's plan, not mine. Let's not worry about it. That's really how I feel about it. Except when that neurologist walked in my room on the 7th time, and I'm like, he's like, do you have any questions? I'm like, no, this is old hat, right? I can do this. Another wheelchair for a while, bedridden for a while, walker and a cane, and then I'm off and running again. I got this. And I asked him about something about work, and he just turned sharply and he looked at me and goes, oh no, no, not this time. And I just looked at him and I'm like, what do you mean? And he goes, I have given you my blessing every time except for the last time. And I told you then I didn't want you going back to any kind of 9-to-5 job or whatever it is that you do. And he goes, but you talked me out of it, and not this time. He goes, you got to take control of your life. You got to start living life on life's terms. And whatever that means for you, I need you to do that, Donna. I cannot keep putting your spine back together.
Wow.
And he goes, no lifting, no twisting, no bending for the rest of your life. You have got to rest when you need to rest, and you got to stand up when you need to stand up. He goes, there's no way I'm signing off again. And I was like, whew. Right? He walked out of the room and I sat there for a moment. Right? One of the first times in my life I really felt fear. But I was sitting on my bed, you know, there wasn't any getting up. I just had surgery. And God came to me again, as he has many, many times. And he said, be silent and know that I am God. And I sat there and I thought, you know what? I got this side hustle that creates residual income. And so I called this gentleman who had shown me something. And I said, I need you to show this to me. He said, you know, this was one of those things that it's just a side hustle. I got lots of side hustles. I flip properties, I manage properties, I do insurance, I do all these things, right? But I remember him talking really about residual income, and I didn't understand that term, Sonny, at all. So I called this fella and I told him, I said, I need to learn about that. Because then I realized I literally could be retired right now, and I was too young to retire. You know, and my doctor, that neurologist, bless his heart, talked to me about filing for disability. And I don't know if you've met me or not, but there's not much disability and sit down in me. And so I called this fella and he said, well, let me know when you feel better and I'll come over and talk to you. I said, look, I'll be home tomorrow and I'll feel just fine tomorrow. Come over there and teach me. Come show me tomorrow. He was like, all right. So we sat down and we had a really serious conversation, and I started getting on the internet and I started learning about the power of residual income and the power of getting paid like royalties, you know, like actors and actresses. And, you know, I was a pretty good tap dancer back in the day, but it wasn't paying me. And so, you know, I started making money like that. And so I knew I was really securing my future, especially if the day came for number 8 or number 9, or worse than that, there wasn't a fix anymore. Right? And I couldn't get in my car and I couldn't drive. And, you know, my parents taught me to expect the unexpected. And so, and life taught me that. And so I really started learning and digging down and grinding and learning more about residual income and how it can pay you. And so if the day comes that I can't work, I'm okay. And the second defining moment, and I'll wrap up with this, is that about 1.5 years after I really started learning about residual income and really started concentrating and focusing, right? And being very intentional about building that stream of income in addition to what I was still doing. My mother came down with breast cancer very unexpectedly. She wasn't sick. This was a routine checkup. She wasn't sick at all. She never felt bad at all. But not only did she have breast cancer, she had breast cancer in both breasts and 2 different kinds at the exact same time. So rare. And so what had happened to me 18 months before that and what was happening to my mother, only God knew, right? Only God knew what I had coming down the pike. And you know, because of residual income, I attended every doctor's appointment, every hospitalization, every surgery, every chemo, every draining afterwards, and all the care that she needed at home after surgery. I was able to be there for my mom. In case you haven't noticed, my mother and my family and my father are really important to me. And I was there, right? I was there. I didn't have to ask off for time. I didn't have to apply for family leave. I didn't get fired, because not only had I set my life up that I was my own boss, but then I had learned about a stream of income that was going to come whether I worked or not. And if I can do anything in this life, Sonny, and help teach other women, their sons, their daughters, their parents, the power of that, whether I ever know them or not, if my teachings, if my experiences can help other people pursue those types of streams of income, then this was a life worth living, because it's given me time with my family and time with my mother and time with my grandchildren during the pandemic to homeschool them that I wouldn't have had without it. It was a very powerful thing.
That not only is it powerful, it's just amazing, the triumphs and what you've gone through. I mean, this lady, for those of you that are tuning in this evening, you were a power lifter.
Come
on.
I was a power lifter and a tap dancer at the same time.
How does that even, that's just crazy. I'm telling you folks, we've got folks from Australia on the line. We got folks from Canada, probably at least Delaware, Detroit, Baltimore, Maryland, Cartersville. We've got a lot of folks on the line, and you women have brought it this evening. But the power of residual income, how, a lot of people just work for money and not allow money to work for them. It's all about having the right instrument, the right vehicle. There's a lot of cars in the parking lot that'll take you anywhere you want to go.
Oh,
What
yes.
kind of car do you want to drive? All right. Deborah, you're next up. Talk to me. You have built an incredible organization. You're a life coach, this, that, and the other. You've also got a team of folks in your business. Talk to me. How did you discover and come upon the importance of building, streams of income and having residual income?
Sonny, I was always open. I think that's
always open.
I was always open. If it made sense,
Okay.
and it would financially position me and my family better, I was open to listen.
Mm-hmm.
Some people are just so closed. I was one that was open.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I saw the whole concept of residual income, it just made sense. Sometimes we complicate things and we make things too hard, and it's so simple. This is what I knew. 95% of the people in this country make linear income, which means they go to work, they get paid. 5%, the other 5%, have the ability to live off of residual income. So it was very simple. I was taught to take the path that is less traveled. Why be where all the traffic is? But also knowing that taking that road that's less traveled, the sacrifice is probably going to be a little greater, but the reward will be greater as well. I don't mind hard work if I can see the fruits of my labor. If I can build a residual income and a legacy for my children's children, that was my focus. It's another income stream. It just made sense. So I was all about it. Blessed to be able to take residual income and use that to catapult my other businesses. So it wasn't about, stop doing everything else. It was about adding it to what I was doing and just building upon that. So if you're open for anything outside of what you're doing right now, with all the chaos that's going on in the United States financially, if you don't have something residual, to be honest, this is going to be the time that you really need to take a serious look as to what's out there. So what do I say? Be open.
Awesome. Nancy, talk to me. You got a real estate company. I know you've owned businesses before, right?
Yes,
When did you
I've been
discover the power of having that residual income as part of the mix of how you're going to get paid and your legacy?
Yep, very, very fortunate. I've always, believed in multiple streams of income, but, I've looked for things that don't dilute me. My passion and my career is real estate. I'm known as a real estate agent, and I want to make sure what I do you know, it only enhances that, but they can also provide me with additional income and additional networking skills. And that's what I love about it. And why I love residual income and why I'm so passionate about it is a couple reasons. One is I never want someone else in control of my destiny. You know, if my mother taught me anything, it was get control of your own destiny financially for yourself, because then you're not going to live in fear. You're not going to be scared. And I never wanted a lid on my income. You know, typically jobs, you know, we punch a pay card and we get paid based on hours. Well, there's a lid on that because there is only a certain amount of hours in a day. And I didn't want somebody else determining my wealth just because of what they could afford to pay me. So I knew that entrepreneurship and looking for other things was the only way that I could increase that. And but the most important thing to me is legacy. You know, I want to make sure that I have something for my daughter. You know, I'm a single mom and I want to make sure that I can leave my daughter a willable and inheritable business. And that's what I'm building. Something that, whether she chooses to do it or not, will provide her an income stream. You know, I want to teach her the same mindset. And, you know, not only is it financial, but there is also a price tag on the experience that my daughter at 13 years old is getting right now because of the people I associate with. Mm-hmm. You know, I want a business that my daughter can be part of as 13 years old, whether it's that she just watches it, she meets these people, she attends conferences with me, she listens to this kind of mindset. And I can already see that she's adapted during COVID. She's doing things that are entrepreneurial, that she is picking up on this. Listen, our kids model what we do. And especially now, because we're all in a confined area, they're going to watch what you do. They're going to watch who you hang around. So how can you do something from home that you can build a legacy and that you can build these experiences for your children? And that's what I want to teach people. And that's so important for me to teach my daughter, to coach other people, that they can provide this for their children also, an inheritable, willable legacy and a great mindset. And there's no price tag on that. And that's what I love about it. I love that these three women have influenced my daughter. I remember when my daughter met Miss MacGyver, she was 5 years old, and Miss Leanne Gabriel. And she knows who they are, and she knows that they are powerful women, and she respects them, and she wants to grow up to be like them. So I love that fact that this is the best thing that's come into my life, and it's enhanced me being a better mom. It's enhanced me being a better entrepreneur. It's enhanced me being a better real estate agent. And that's what it's about. And, you know, you can't even put a price tag on those sort of things. So it's about legacy and making sure that I always say the giving hand receives, and that we continue to teach that legacy to our children so they can teach it to their children. So Sunny, so much. I mean, you're just meeting you because of this. I would have never had the opportunity to meet you, and you're doing great things out there, and that's so exciting.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much. The honor is truly all mine. I you know, what I said I want to do, and I asked God, and I was still for 90 days after I left, you know, my corporate job, and I said, what I want to do is be around some of the most successful people on the planet and listen to their stories. And you ladies have delivered it. I said, if I could some kind of way make a living doing that, it's a beautiful thing in the neighborhood. But listen, Leanne, talk to me about residual income. I mean, you went from, I mean, I don't know too many people that left the law. I mean, law school is incredibly expensive. And you rolled the dice and said, nope, I ain't doing it again. I ain't working on Thanksgiving. I'm going to be in control of my own destiny. I'm the chairman, the CEO of Me Inc. And mama ain't going to have it no more. I'm going to do something else. And you figured it out. You did it. But talk to me about the legacy part of it, of building residual income besides what you do for a living. How important is that to you?
Sure. Thank you so much. And, you know, it's interesting. I come from a different background and a different thing in that when my father was kind of my role model in life, and my father always instilled, you know, to work hard, to get a huge education, to make a difference, to impact the world. And, you know, I respected and admired him more than I can ever tell you. He was brilliant. And he spent his life as a radiation oncologist, and he actually developed treatments for liver and pancreatic cancer.
Wow.
And his sister, back in the day when it was unheard of, was a pioneer as a female. She was a radiation oncologist. My grandfather was a doctor. Like everybody in my family, it's been academics, 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 academics. So, you know, actually my undergrad's worse than law school. That was the really expensive part. But all of it, you know, that's just what I expected you do to succeed. That's what you do. And, you know, having multiple income streams is always natural, and having investments and stuff, it's brilliant to do that. But I'll tell you, you know, what happened for me. It was funny. My husband initially thought I was crazy trying to do anything outside of law because my career was so demanding. And he was an international consultant for a firm called KPMG. And he basically went out of the country and flew all over the place. And we worked so much, and we were forced because of our careers to be away from each other so much that we weren't even going to have a family. We were just going to be one of those career couples. And then things changed. And very late, I ended up having a son who means the world to me. I would do anything for my son. But what's so crazy is I started to really understand residual income when I had him. See, as brilliant as my father was, and as much as he taught me so much and I looked up to him, he was never around because he was working. He was in other countries teaching his research. He was all over the place. And there were so many big moments in my life that I wished he was there. And, you know, it was hard. You know, it was really hard to not have somebody there in the really important moments. And I had been building a residual income. And honestly, it started off just as another income stream to knock off Sally Mae. But then when I had my son, I understood, because not only have I never missed a single thing with my son, but we were able to bring my husband home from his career as well. Wow. And every school play and every spelling bee and every little kindergarten performance, and then into middle school and his first sports game and him playing football and him running track. And every single time he has something, he looks up and both his parents are there. And we're blessed to be able to put him in a good private school and give him an education. But I look around and we are the only two parents that are there for every moment of his life. I know everything that happens in school. I know his homework. He comes home. We're here. Keeps him out of trouble, by the way. But to be able to do something like that is priceless. I have one son. He's already taller than me. He's going into upper school. And I know I'm going to blink and he's going to be off and running. And I don't want to miss a moment. So I will tell you something I do. And forgive me for trying to brainwash my kid. But every single time we have an event, or we're at a game, or we're at school, or the parent-teacher conferences, we're both there. Every single time we do something, I look at my son and say, I tell him how much I love him. I tell him how proud of him I am. And I say, I just want you to notice something really important. Mom and dad are the only two parents that are at everything. And the reason we have that is we own our own business and we have a residual income stream. And we'll never have to miss anything. And I tell them, I want you to do what lights you up in life. I want you to do what you're passionate about. It doesn't matter to me. But do not ever limit yourself. So you have to choose time and quality of life or your check. And I'll share with you one thing I didn't mention when I started off tonight. The reason that Thanksgiving Day was so rough for me is because when I had been younger, unfortunately, I lost my grandparents to a car accident. Somebody had hit their car and I lost my grandparents. And just like that, they were healthy and active and then they weren't there. So when that Thanksgiving Day came up and I was working and we had one grandparent left on my husband's side, I was like, no, I'm not doing this. I'm not repeating this. I'm not missing this. So if you are on here and it's important to you, whether you want to volunteer your time, whether you want to be part of a charity, whether you want to be a missionary, whether you just want to see your kid grow up, whether you missed your kids growing up and you're not going to do it again with your grandkids, you need to find a way that you can take control of your finances. And the craziest thing is when I'm at the spelling bee or the track meet or whatever it is, and I'm holding my husband's hand and we're cheering for our son, we're actually getting paid while we're sitting there. And if I was the best attorney in the universe and a Supreme Court justice, and there is no better lawyer in the world, that would never happen in that industry. So I never tell somebody, you know, to leave your industry if you don't love it. Do what you love, but don't be captive to income. Don't let money strangle your choices in life. I think it can change everything, because one day there'll be somebody who needs you or someone you love, and you don't want to have to choose that you can't be there for them.
Wow, that's powerful. That is incredibly powerful. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's come to a close now. You've listened to 4 dynamic, highly successful ladies that have beaten the odds. You know, we've seen where the glass ceiling hits in corporate America for a lot of women. In all due respect, I have to tell you this. I'm smarter than a fox. When I went and built my biggest business, I did it with a majority of women. In 27 different cities, I had women.
Amen.
And even though they had their own little side hustle or businesses, that and the other, and they said, Sonny, I'm not going to quit what I'm doing. I said, listen, I, as a business person, in anything that I do, I want to exceed your expectations. Allow me to exceed your expectations. That is the hallmark of where I start at, okay? And they listened to me and they bought into it, and they became better, and we all grew and became a huge family. And it was just, I can't tell you about, it wasn't the money. It was the camaraderie of seeing people live their best lives, that they could no longer be slaves to a cubicle, you know, and live that grind in that life. And they were introduced to more people. So you've listened to some phenomenal stories. We're going to put up on the screen each of these ladies' contact information. We still got 200 of you here. Thank you so very, very, very much for tuning in this evening. My name is Sonny Martin, and each of these ladies bring a tremendous amount of experience, a tremendous amount of success. And if you know them like I know them, they are blessed to be a blessing to you. So I would encourage you, each of them, all their contact information is on the screen right now. I thank you for spending your evening with us. I salute you. I pray for you. We're going to get through this together. We're stronger together. And I would really, really encourage you to be around those people that are successful, that can help guide you. And I thank you so very much tuning in tonight. Anybody else want to say anything?
Thank you, everyone, for
Sonny,
tuning
thank
in
you so
tonight.
much for your
Thank you,
time,
Sonny.
your energy. We love you.
Thank you, Sonny, for so much.
Thank you, folks.
An amazing moderator. Guys, be blessed, stay safe, and look up. We'll get up through this together, all of us. Let's get
Amen.
to the other side.
Amen.
All right, thank you, folks.
Feel free to contact us, reach out to us.
Yes.
If you're a woman out there, you are not alone.
And even the men, we can help you too.
And even the men.
Yes, and the
Even
men.
We don't want to leave the men out. We can help the men as well.
You all have a good night.
All right,
Good night.
goodbye, ladies. Thank you so
Good night,
much.
everybody.
All right, bye-bye.